Welcome to today's New Life Live podcast. Today's podcast is brought to you by you. Your donations make this podcast possible. Please consider donating today using the New Life app, visit newlife.com, or call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Welcome to New Life Live with host and founder of New Life Ministries, Stephen Arterburn. New Life Live is dedicated to transforming lives one at a time thanks to the giving hearts of you, our listeners. Our goal is to provide you with wisdom from God's Word to give you hope and help in life's hardest places. If you have a question you'd like to ask today, our phone lines are open. Call 1-800-229-3000. That number again is 1-800-229-3000. Now here's Steve.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to New Life Live. It is Steve Arterburn here, and on this day after Halloween, Dr. Sheri, Keffer, and Dr. Alice Benton is here. We are exorcising all the demons of Halloween out of this broadcast here today, and so welcome, everybody. And I hope for those of you that have dentures that any of the candy from last night didn't cause a problem for you. This is a Halloween-free zone from the rest of the time, and we're right into November, into the holidays. Pretty exciting time. And I'm down in Houston right now, broadcasting from KKHT, and we are so grateful that they loaned us their studios, didn't charge us a cent. Really nice, wonderful people here in the Houston area. And so thanks for that. And today we are excited that you're with us and hope that you'll join us. We're going to be in the studio for a while, and it is a brand new month getting into the holiday season. And guys, here comes Thanksgiving, and then here comes Christmas and New Year's, and a lot of times people are related to folks that are painful to be related to. What is just something that might help somebody in a toxic or tough relationship, and you know you're going to be with somebody that's not too much fun to be with or really painful to be with? What would you say? Sheri, any ideas here?
Oh, well, I'm not sure y'all are going to, give me a brownie award for this one, but I happen to have a family member who's really hard to be around. And I found when I was around this person, I just kept focusing in on him rather than enjoying the people around me, because he is, I think he believes he sits at the right hand of God. Anyway, when he went in to pontificate like he normally does, I just removed myself and I went and sat in the restroom for a few minutes. And I just kind of sat there. I calmed myself down. I giggled a little bit because I thought, I can't even believe I've just excused myself to the restroom because I am not doing well with this person. But you know what? That was self-care. It's exactly what I needed to do to kind of not force myself when I was being triggered by him, but just take care of myself. And that kept me out of anger or contempt or bitterness towards him. I just took a little mini vacation. So there you have it.
You were being a brain steward, and you were preserving the good things in your brain rather than letting someone... Because, the only thing that's more difficult to listen to than somebody that doesn't know what they're talking about is somebody that doesn't know what they're talking about, but they think they know everything. Like you say, they think they have a special position there with God. Alice, any thoughts on difficult relationships during the holidays?
Well, since I am that difficult person for my poor family, I have to excuse myself for their sake. No, I get prayed up before I go into these situations because I think about it as sort of a ministry too, and that I am so inadequate to love some of my folks well. And so I check in with my girlfriends from my small group, and I say, pray me up because I'm going in, and it's not going to be easy, and I can't do this on my own.
Yeah, that's a good thing. Of course, my little concept of amused detachment, you just don't take it personally, step back mentally, and just watch them do what they do, and be amused by it. That can help.
It can.
Well, we want to help you. By the way, Club New Life, if you join, you get to be part of a brand new series. It's a 9-part series by Dr. Keffer, How to Ask for what you need. 9-part series on that. A lot of times we'll do anything but tell somebody exactly what we need. We'll take a break and come right back for you, your phone calls, and New Life.
I feel blessed to have had this opportunity for my needs to be met, connecting with other women who are fighting the same fight, hoping for healthy marriages and growing closer to the Lord on their journey.
My name is Sheri Martinkus, and I want to personally invite you to the Restore Workshop. If you have been affected by betrayal, it might be that your husband has been looking at pornography, it might be an emotional, physical affair. I would love for you to come join us.
I feel encouraged and hopeful that even in my struggle, I am enough.
You will leave with hope, with a community of sisters ready to support you, and you will also leave with tools to move you forward on this journey.
Through the sharing in our small group, I realize that I am not alone.
Please don't hesitate. Pick up the phone, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. I would love to see you there.
The Restore Workshop is coming to Washington, D.C. November 15th to the 17th. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE to find out more. That's 1-800-639-5433 or online at newlife.com. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back. Steve Arterburn here, broadcasting from the Salem studio KKHT in Houston, Texas, home of the Astros. When I was young, my father and my grandfather and my own personal self, we went down to the opening of the Astrodome. Now, that was the first, it was a major, first enclosed big, stadium. And I caught pneumonia from the air conditioning system there and missed going to state for voice. But it was so funny because my grandfather, Dad Art, and my dad, they walked all over the Astrodome with their tape measure. And my grandfather said, "Look at this, Walter. This beam is a 4.2 by 9.7." And they were measuring everything. They just thought it was so amazing to be in the Astrodome. What a great memory, except for the pneumonia. All right, let's go to the phones. And how about we talk with Sheila all the way from Seattle, Washington. Hi, Sheila. How are you?
Hi, thank you for taking my call. I'm all right. How are you guys?
Doing okay. When's the last time you went up in the Space Needle there in Seattle? I'm just curious.
Oh, years ago.
Years ago, yeah.
Years ago.
I was just watching Wheel of Fortune from Seattle, and they were, they put the wheel on top of the Space Needle one year, which is exciting. Anyway, have a lot of fond memories. I wrote a book on alcoholism in a bar in Seattle, and because I needed some examples. So anyway, have fond memories there. You listen to us on the app, but here's the main thing. You didn't call about any of that. What's going on in your life today?
I called before, and Dr. Jill mentioned about ADD, about the possibility of ADD with my ex-boyfriend, and I researched on ADD, and I couldn't believe what I read because it was my boyfriend that I was reading, the distractibility, his hyper-focus on me initially, and then it seemed like he lost interest, and I got tired of it, of the distractibility. I thought that he lost interest, so I broke up with him a couple months ago. But when I read about ADD, I felt a lot of compassion for him, and I wanted to reach out, and I reached out to him, but he's no longer responding to my call and to my text. I really think he felt misunderstood because I was upset with him, very upset with him when we broke up. Should I continue to reach out to him, or should I reach out to his pastor through a letter? I really wanted to tell him that, you were right when you thought that you have ADHD. You should really get help to get your life in order.
Well, let me ask you about something else. And, of course, it would be great just to write an encouraging letter to him. But you mentioned that he was hyper-focused on you, and then he wasn't. Now there's another reason that could happen, and this is really touchy, and I don't want to embarrass you here, but here's what a lot of guys do, whether they have ADD or not. They're hyper focused, and then it's not ADD, it's PMS, which stands for premarital sex. And if
premarital what?
Sex. So they get hyper focused because they want to be sexually intimate. Then once they are, if their character, once they experience that, then they're on to something else. It's like they conquered something. It was all sick and distorted. And so I'm just wondering if any of that might have come into play there with.
No,
okay,
we were
good.
Very intentional.
Nice.
We're very serious Christians. We're in our mid-40s, and
wonderful.
We've already been hurt with previous relationships.
Okay.
But he would always tell me, like, when I confront him, like, are you losing interest? Because I'm going to just back off. She's like, no. I just need to get to this. My kids need me because he's got 3 kids, or I need to go to the youth ministry. And I could see his eyes kind of like glazed and kind of struggling to keep me. And he wanted to hold on to me, and he was saying, like, I need to bring down my activities. I know that, but can you hold on? So that's his case.
And Sheila, what's your hope in sending this letter? What do you hope will happen? It sounds like you want to help him. Is there an additional hope?
To tell you the truth, I wanted to kind of like watch him from a distance as a friend, and maybe things will change. But I'm also trying to be realistic that, my life would change and I'd meet somebody else. But, there's not a lot of good guys out there. So, yeah, that's just the truth. There's, even Christians. So, I guess there's some sort of a hope in there.
Okay.
I actually think your hope is probably standing behind some loss and disappointment, and maybe even feeling helpless over the fact that you made a decision about him and you can't repair that. Right? When we feel powerless over somebody not responding, what's the meaning for you? What does that mean, that he's not calling you back? What do you believe about yourself in light of him not responding? I am what?
What occurred to me on Saturday was when he didn't respond was like, I don't know. I just felt I felt I can't control him, and I need to let it go.
Well, but maybe that you're feeling I'm not in control.
Yeah, and I'm not in control.
Yeah,
right.
And so what you're doing, instead of just feeling the pain of that, not being able to control his brain, not being able to rescue him, not being able to change his ADD, instead of trying to write him a letter via his pastor, which could bring more shame upon him, it might be a good idea for you to grieve the loss.
I've been crying every day for 2 months now.
Okay, and you know what? I am really hurting with you. And I'm really proud of you that you're crying, because you know what? You're working towards letting him go. When you reach out to him and write the pastor a letter, you know what you're doing? You're trying to hold on to him so you'll feel better. I'll try to manage your ADD. I'll try to manage the pastor so that you can get a message. You're trying to fix him because you don't want to grieve him.
Yeah.
It's hard, isn't it? It hurts. I hate breakups.
He was a good guy underneath all of it, and he worked so hard to please me, and I just could not stand being ignored.
I know.
And here's the thing: even though he has attention deficit disorder or ADHD, when a man is in love and when a man is pursuing a woman, those things don't stand in the way. You make room for the pursuit. Do you understand what I'm saying? I'm saying even if he got treatment, there's probably something there that didn't make this work other than ADHD or ADD. And so when Sheri's saying to grieve the loss and move on, I think it's really, really great advice for you.
Sheila, I have two concerns for you. One is that you're not trusting your decision you made previously. You're really second-guessing yourself. And certainly your ex-boyfriend had good qualities and he had negative qualities. But you saw red flags that it doesn't sound like at the time he was seeking help for. And so you decided to make a protective decision by distancing yourself. And he's not even answering anymore. I want you to trust your gut instinct on this, the decision to end the relationship. Because his ongoing behavior, I think, actually reinforces the choice that you made. So my other concern is, I'm also glad you're crying every day. I wonder how often you're crying alone. And right now you're making the step to cry in our presence and to share that pain with us. Whenever we're isolated and we date, we tend to get sucked back into guys we know are not right for us at this point anyhow. I've done the same thing when I was isolated. I kept going back to guys that I saw the red flags about. So continue to let good women in your life into your grief process, because that will help you make clear decisions moving forward.
All right. I'm really glad you called. I'm going to send you a book that's healing, and it's all about grieving the past and then accepting what we have and moving forward. Healing is a choice. I'm going to send that to you, and I'll send Take Your Life Back. Also, both of those can be really helpful to you, and glad that you called, and I hope you'll hang on. Maybe we could find a counselor that could take you through a grieving process so that every one of those tears, those tears have purpose and meaning. Okay? All right, let's go to Dave. Dave's calling, St. Louis, Missouri, listens on the podcast. Hey, Dave, how are you?
Hey, Steve. I'm hanging in there.
What's going
on? Well, my wife and I have been married for 19 years, and I've had problems with anger throughout our whole marriage. Mm-hmm. And recently we've had another argument, and she's asking me to move out, and she wants a divorce.
Okay.
And she is pretty solid on her stance with that.
Yeah. Why is it that you never got help for the anger? What do you think? What stood in your way from, you walk away from a really bad situation with her, you go, wow, there's that anger again. Why didn't that lead you to take some action there? I'm just curious what you think might be there.
I always didn't see it as bad as she did. But it didn't matter how you saw it. I mean, if how she sees it is all that matters. If you're married to she, if she's saying this is really bad, then that's one thought is you didn't think it was that bad. And that's another way of saying. That's another way of saying I don't think her feelings are that important, or I don't think her feelings are valid. So not only did you have the anger, you invalidated her feelings about the anger. Is there any other thing you can think of would be a reason you didn't get help for it? Oh, man. I don't know. I just don't think I thought it was as big of a deal. Like the thing that, I tried not to yell at her, express my anger towards her, but I would get upset and kind of stew on my anger and go off on my own. And I used to throw things, that I tried to do that out of her presence. but I haven't done that in a long time.
Okay.
And I have been improving over the years, but I still, like, now my issue is just getting upset, going in the other room and slamming the door, and I think slamming the door is the trigger now.
Sure. All right, so when she told you she's going to leave, and then I'll turn this over to Alice and then Sheri, what did you tell her you were going to do about your anger? Have you done anything?
Yes, I found a men's anger management group that I'm going to be starting in a couple of weeks.
Okay. That's one thing. All right. Well, you can hear the music. We're going to take a break. We'll try to give you some help right after this, and I'm glad you called us. A lot of times women are finished because they think the person they're finished with is finished. They don't think there's any room for improvement, or they don't think they're willing to get any kind of help that could dramatically change things. Well, let's change some things, see what happens. You're listening to New Life Live. If you need some help, it's 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That is the phone number, and we've got a great thank you gift for anybody that supports us. Tell you about that right after.
My wife had found me out and came home one weekend. She had revealed my secret. The only reason I was sorry at that time is because I had been caught. I had had the Every Man's Battle book for years and pulled that book out that weekend and found the phone number on the back and called it, and then a week later I was at Every Man's Battle. It really gave me the start I needed for my recovery. I never had had that opportunity to sit down with guys I didn't even know and totally open up. The good thing was I was opening up to guys I didn't even know. So why did I care? Just lay it all out on the table. I have nothing to lose. You need to check it out. At least go online, check out what it's about, and take the chance and go do it.
If you're struggling, call us. There are people on the other end of the line who want to hear from you, who want to help you. We don't want you to go on struggling, but you got to take that first step. Just give us a call. It's 1-800-639-5433. It's 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
Last year after Every Man's Battle, I was so moved by the transformation that I saw not only in myself, but in the guys in our small group and the other people that were there and the stories that I heard, that I decided to go ahead and join Club New Life as a contributor to that.
You can help New Life Live stay on the air by joining Club New Life today. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433.
You guys are doing God's work here. You're restoring marriages. You're giving people hope. It's just been such a blessing to me, and I just wanted to encourage you all. When you see something good that God's doing, just jump on that and help support that.
Support Club New Life, and together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places. Call 1-800-639-5433.
Give your support to them if you can, and just help them do what God's doing here in the world.
Call 1-800-639-5433 to join Club New Life today. We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back talking with Dave, and wife is just, after 19 years, really upset, done over the anger. Alice, you had some thoughts here. What are you thinking?
Dave, we love getting these kind of calls, and we are proud of you that you're calling because you're starting to do something different. And you're becoming humble, and you're opening your eyes to the fear and the pain that your behavior has caused your wife. You're probably surprised by it, but you're realizing it. It can be very frightening to be in a room with a man who is throwing things and slamming doors, and it does do a lot of emotional damage. It can leave your wife stuck in a stress cycle that even when you're not doing that, she could be living with the fear of when will it happen next. So the fact that you are calling and you're willing to go to a men's group is a good start, a very good start. Did you respond to her request to move out? Do you plan on moving out of the house?
I'm looking for a place now. I have a lot of fear about if I do that, if she'll ever let me back in.
I think the fear is valid, and there is a risk to it. But following her request, complying with her request, is an investment of trust. It begins to show her that you're going to start taking her desires and her fears seriously. In fact, I would love for you to go back to her to say, I called this show to get more advice because I'm realizing I haven't done this right. I have minimized and dismissed your feelings for 19 years. And this is the day I'm going to start doing something different about it. A group is a good start, but it's not enough. And that's why I want you, before we hang up with you, and we'll still talk with you here, that you let us get you connected with a counselor. Because I want you to come back to your wife with a full battle plan of, I will move out and I'm doing these things and I've got the appointment already. Because your words aren't trustworthy yet, but it's your behavior that will show her that there may be hope.
I have a question, Dave. How young were you when you were raged at? How young were you when anger was a toxic part of growing up?
I was pretty young. My mom was married a few times, and culminated with my second stepdad. He was very angry and rageful, and culminated when I was 13 when he killed himself.
Oh my gosh. Wow. So, you know what, my friend? There's a 13-year-old that's trapped inside of you. That one was on the other side of some rage, and then two has tremendous loss that you have never found a place to vent. And when I say loss, Kubler, there's a way of dealing with grief, and it's DABDA. So it's denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. You are somewhat in denial. You're stuck in denial, and that's why you minimized your wife's pain. And the other thing that you're somewhat stuck in, because of this early trauma event at 13 and others like that, the loss of lots of dads, is you are stuck in anger. There's a lot of hurt. There's 1,000 tears inside, and you really haven't sat with someone like myself or like Alice or Steve for that matter, and just really got that hurt out. That's where you need to start with a therapist.
The other thing
I've been in therapy for a few years, off and on, and I've been seeing the same one for the last 2 years.
But how much have you cried? How much have you wept? How deep have you gone into that hurt and pain? Not to talk about it, but to feel it out.
Yeah.
Not very much.
Yeah.
Okay, and so here's the other thing, back to what Alice was saying. If you move out, you are saying to your wife, I trust God in this, and I don't need to be in control. Anger and the expression of anger is something you have used to control her. In fact, I bet if I sat down with her, like others, she would say, when you break things, essentially you're saying, you're next, honey. I'll break you if you don't get my message. When the door slams, you're saying, I'll slam you next if you don't get in line. It's those kind of loud or destructive things are often viewed as control threats. They shut the other person down until finally they don't. So you saying, all right, I'm going to grant your wish, I'm going to move out. Now you've got potential for her to miss you in the absence of being afraid of you. And all sorts of other things happen. But if you continue to want to stay in control, I think you're not preventing ever moving back in. I think you're preventing the marriage from being saved. And if I were you guys, I would if she would do it, I'd talk to her on the phone to try to convince her to come to the marriage intensive, to say, look, if we're gonna leave, could you just do this one last thing? And you both would go, and you both would get to work, and there's a good chance that you could save this marriage. But you're going to have to surrender. you're going to have to listen to her. And I think you've got to up your game. You can't just say, I'm going to join a group in 2 weeks. Let's get some books and start reading. Let's go to a different therapist. Let's do some things that show her you're serious about saving the marriage, just as serious as she is about wanting it to be over. We'll take a break and come right back.
For most of my life, I've been dealing with an opiate addiction.
Why is opioid addiction quickly becoming one of our nation's biggest killers? Maybe it's because it isn't only those who are addicted who are in denial.
We did what I see so many parents do, is it can't be an addiction. There's something medically wrong.
It's impossible to solve a problem when you don't know what you're up against, and families will try to find any explanation except the one that will put them on the right path.
Alcoholism and drug addiction is a family disease. It doesn't affect just the individual.
If someone you love is abusing painkillers, know what you're up against. It's time to admit it's addiction and seek treatment. Call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We have Christ-centered partner treatment centers around the country. Call 1-800-639-5433 or visit us online at newlife.com.
We just made a decision. We will do whatever it takes.
1-800-NEW-LIFE.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn, and for 30 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
I'm an addict, and I'm trying to get God in my life again. You seem to be able to get to the crux of a problem quickly.
Our Christ-centered treatment programs can help you break free to embrace all that God has for you and your family.
I just want to thank you guys for bringing me to a relationship with Jesus.
There really is help for marital problems, depression, addictions, panic attacks, and feelings of hopelessness.
I came back with so many tools to help me prepare myself to fight this struggle and this battle that I have every day.
You can start living again today, living the life God intended for you. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
They did care, and they did follow up very lovingly, and it made all the difference in my life.
Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Someone who cares is waiting at the other end of the phone. God can open the door to a better tomorrow right now. Just call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. 1-800-639-5433.
We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back. Steve Arterburn here. Really glad that you're with us here today on New Life Live. Let's talk with Daryl, Charleston, South Carolina, one of the great cities of America. Listens on Sirius XM, channel 131 at noon Central Time. Daryl, how are you?
I'm doing great, Mr. Steve. How are you doing? Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can, all the way there in Charleston.
Okay, I had a little fuzziness on my side. What I'm calling for is I just passed my 7-year anniversary for going to EMB in 2012, I believe it was, and it's really changed my life. I'm 7 years out. I still go to some counseling for some problems that caused me to go into porn and things of that nature. But I just wanted to praise you guys and praise God for what it's done to my life. I ask my wife questions from time to time of, like, how much she trusts me. She was at 90% for a while. Now she's at 95%. So my goal is 100%. And, you know, one of the things that's really, really helped me through my walk in this path is being on the Sustained Victory call. That's a huge thing, to be able to talk to men that have the same issues and stuff like that. And I love Bob Sklar so much. I tell you, he's a great man to have running the group. He's really
he's
awesome,
a good one.
dude.
We all love Bob Sklar. I wish there was 1,000 Bob Sklars.
I love the fact that you went to Every Man's Battle, and life was really, really crummy. And now it's so good you're encouraging other men. So, you know, kind of like the worst thing in the world for you and your wife, now God's using that to encourage other men to quit trying harder and all that stuff and just go and get help. And I love the fact that you're still with Sustained Victory, because, you know, this is something that just adds to a person's life. It's all positive, no shame. And if you just go, you can be one of the band of brothers that helps each other. And I'm so grateful that you called. In fact, I'm so grateful. Daryl, I'm going to send you, we've got a brand new workbook coming out. I don't have it yet, but it will. But it's a workbook for the Life Recovery Bible, and it's all about sexual integrity. We're real excited about these workbooks. One's on grief, using the Life Recovery Bible for the grieving process. One's on recovery from divorce. Another one, eating disorders, and then sexual integrity. And I'll send one to you. Just our way of saying thanks. Hang in there, Daryl, and tell all those other guys on your call we're grateful that they're still engaged in the process of transformation. It's why we do what we do here, folks, and when you help us, we help them. We can reach more people. A gift of any amount, I'll send you this wonderful devotional book, 100 Days of Healing, or I would love to send you the new 2020 New Life Wall Calendar. And then also, we've got some left, Kirby McCook and the Jesus Chronicles. I'll autograph it to the child, your grandchild, child, niece, nephew. It's the gift that does everything. It teaches them about Jesus, and it makes you look really cool. You can't beat that. And they love learning and reading about God in this way from Kirby McCook and the Jesus Chronicles. Just our way of saying thanks. All right, let's go to, I believe it's Danny or Donnie. Is it Danny from Corpus Christi New Life app she listens on? Is it Danny? Is that it?
Yes.
Hi, how you doing?
Hi. Fine.
Good. How could we help today? What's going on in your life?
Well, I found out about my husband's infidelity a little over a month ago, and I guess I'm battling my own sexual desires, like urges to have sex, even just with him, not anyone else.
Right. So what was
I have
was
no
this?
Desire to go outside the marriage whatsoever.
Yeah. Was this a long time affair? Was it tell us about his infidelity.
There was some form of infidelity throughout the entire marriage that I was not aware of.
How long?
Porn, affairs, massage parlors for about 18 years.
Okay, and so since you found out, what has he done to win back your heart?
He has been doing some of the 40 days of purity. He has been seeing a counselor, talking with some different men for accountability. He has respected every one of my boundaries that I have set forth. And he's been compassionate and kind and as understanding as he can be towards my hurts and pains and fears. And
so, Danny, hey, this is Sheri.
Hi.
Hey, girl. You know what? I'm a little worried about you. You know why?
Why?
18 years is a very long time to be living with chronic infidelity.
Wow.
And it's a little bit like that story of the frog in the pot that the water heats up. And there's a part of you that has grown accustomed to chronic cheating. And my thought with you is this. I'm wondering if you aren't in some kind of coping strategy, which is either denial or something called betrayal blindness. It's a term Dr. Jennifer Freyd talked about in her book, Blind to Betrayal. The tagline is, while we're fooling ourselves, we're not being fooled.
Mm-hmm.
And if I was sitting in front of you, I would actually be asking you questions about how you're coping by not looking. Because you're not really facing how this is hurting you. And sometimes, in my book, Intimate Deception, Healing the Wounds of Sexual Betrayal, I wrote a chapter called Remember When Sex Was Safe and Skydiving Was Dangerous. It's kind of like you've been he's been jumping out of a plane over and over and over again, and you've been splat, 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 splat. But you don't even feel your flesh burning anymore. And so there's 3 movements that women typically go in. There's hyposexual, which means they shut down. There's sex against, which means I'm going to move against you. I might even have an affair or have a hookup. And that's not you. But this, I think, is the 3rd one. It's hypersexual, meaning I'm having sex with you, kind of like a golden retriever, because I want to keep you happy unconsciously or consciously so that you don't act out. As much as you think it's about your desire for sex, that's where I think you're in denial. I think you've lost touch, girl, and I'm scared for you. Because until you're in reality, which is until you're looking at this straight in the face and taking response and saying, I got honest with myself. This is bad, and I'm taking steps to deal with it. He's not going to get better.
And in fact, when after 18 years of this, when you're ready to go back and immediately have sex with him a month later, you're essentially saying, I excuse all of this. Forgiveness is one thing, excusing is another. Now, I have to ask you this. How many times in the 18 years did you know something was going on, but somehow didn't move against it?
None.
Never saw.
I had no idea.
No idea.
He had mentioned porn, but more like he had an issue, like it was past tense.
Yeah.
You know.
So you just found out. You just found out just in the last month.
Yeah, I was flooded.
That 18 years. This was going on.
And so what in you? I think you're in shock, girl. I think you're in shock. I think you're in denial. And I care about you. But the idea that you would go back and have sex right now is a reaction. It's a shame-based reaction to try to change the pain of what you're sitting in.
You know, I had, there was infidelity against me, and my instant reaction was to hold on tightly to the offender. It was like a reflex, like that was going to fix something or help me. And then, you know, I woke up the next morning and I realized, wow, this, yeah. And so I relate to that desire that comes in. It's like, oh man, you don't even know why it's there, but there is this hidden belief, this will make it better. And 18 years of not better. The last thing I would want you to do is just be available to him, because you're just kind of another form of pornography if you are, and he's not better.
She said, we need to talk. She's asked me for the first time if I would consider myself a sex addict. You know, I thought it was just about admitting the things that I had done wrong. I never had a clue that it was about redeeming our story. You know, I thought it was just about coming clean on what I had done. I had no idea how to help her with her pain. She was a mess, I was a mess, and we got divorced. Going to EMB, surrounding myself with these other men, they accepted me for who I was and what I had done, but they challenged me to step up and do better. You know, they'll be around other men who are not just pointing the finger, but willing to get in and wade through it with them, you know, get in the trenches. They'll get hope from this workshop. Take my sweet wife and my story. We were divorced, remarried, and on our way to what I think will be the sweetest years of our lives. You know, it's no longer simply about surviving. For the first time ever, you know, we're thriving, we're enjoying where we're at.
Hey, listen, if you're struggling, we want to see you at the workshop. Give us a call, 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn, and for 30 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
Your ministry has saved my life.
If you struggle with emotional hurt, family or marriage problems, the pit of depression, or the pain of addictions, we can help.
I'm down 100 pounds now from what I was.
You guys are awesome. You're a blessing to America.
Our treatment programs provide clinically appropriate solutions from licensed professionals. all in the biblical framework.
I have had problems with alcohol. I think God has ordained this place to be His.
You don't have to be a prisoner of your pain. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
She tells me that I'm a new man, and I feel like a new man.
It worked for me, and it can work for them too.
This time it is different.
If you're ready to take the first step toward genuine spiritual and emotional healing, please call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. God can open the door to a better tomorrow right now. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433.
To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back. Stephen Arterburn here with Dr. Sheri Keffer, Dr. Alice Benton. We're going to send this book, Intimate Deception. Sheri wrote it. It's got some great, great stuff in there, and I would recommend it to anybody who's been sexually betrayed. Come on. This can help you. It'll help you see what is so difficult to see. And look, guys, 18 years? Come on. Let's get some help here. Let's make it better. Have the best Thanksgiving and Christmas you've ever had before. 1-800-NEW-LIFE will help you. All right, let's go to David. David from Dallas, Texas, KWRD. David, you have a question for us here in our final segment today. And by the way, if you're on there, hold on. We're going to do another program, and I'm going to try to get to every one of those calls on the board. David, what's your question for us?
Thank you for taking my call.
Mm-hmm.
The question I have is, my wife, I give her caught some stuff on my phone that was inappropriate. I mean, I signed up for one of those profiles, and just, I guess I was weak or tempted. I made a mistake. I realized that. And now she wants to get divorced over that, and she's not willing to give me.
You signed up on a dating site?
Yeah, sort of.
Okay. Yeah. And she wants to divorce you?
Yes.
Okay. So same question for you as I had earlier. Since her telling you she wants to divorce you, what have you done about the problem?
Well, I told her that I would get a new email, delete that.
No. Now, wait, hold on. That would be like managing the problem's symptoms. But have you gotten any help?
No, I have not.
Can you imagine what would happen if she heard you say these words? There's a workshop. It's called Every Man's Battle for guys that struggle with problems like mine, and I'm going. And I want to win your heart back. But even if you can't be won back, I want to be the man you thought I was. What about that? Think that would help?
Yes. That sounds good.
Okay.
Yes.
So can I be your wife, David? Can I speak for her for a second? Because this is what she's feeling. David, you're not hearing me. You're not taking the offense seriously. In fact, right now you're minimizing it. You're making light of signing up for a dating profile when we're married. You're blaming me because I drew a line in the sand and said I can't tolerate it. You're justifying what you did. You're denying it. I can't trust you when you aren't looking squarely at this as a big offense. I didn't marry you for you to date. But you know what breaks my heart, David, most of all in our marriage? Is you aren't seeing me, and you've rendered me helpless. Because the only way I can get your attention is by walking, and that is still not waking you up right now. You're minimizing with Steve. You're minimizing with Sheri. You're minimizing with Alice. What is going on with you, David? That's what she wants to say. Say more.
Yeah.
What do you think about that? What do you think about that? I don't want a sorry, because that's a cheap sorry. What do you think about what I just said? Can you hear her through my words?
Yes.
Because I'm trying to wake you up, my friend.
Actually, I think you're calling him to manhood.
David, you sound surprised that your wife is now talking about divorce. And generally, these things just don't come up out of nowhere. I imagine there's a long list of concerns that your wife has. And so even just the way that you're talking with us about what you're doing on the internet, it does sound very, very dismissing of it. I want you to start writing your list, ask for God's help, and give him permission of what truly has been going on through the years of your marriage for which now your wife is talking about divorce. It's not just this. And if you go back to your wife to say, you know what, I recognize it's not just this one time and this one profile. It's the way I look at women that walk by. It's this, the biblical standard of looking at a woman lustfully is committing adultery. And I have not been living by that standard. Yeah. Go to her with your laundry list.
There you go.
That humility makes a difference and opens a door to grace.
It does. And, it's all betrayal, but it really is one thing to look at a picture. It's another level to try to get on a site and connect with a real-life human being. It's another level. Just like it's one thing to look at a picture. It's another thing to go to a massage party. It's all betrayal, but there are levels, and this is a really, really disastrous level that you've hit here, and because it's for major soul surgery. I'm going to send you Every Man's Battle and Worthy of Her Trust, and then I'm going to hope that you're going to come to Every Man's Battle and tell her we're going to get this thing taken care of. It really could make all the difference in the world. And I'm so glad you called us. You're a good guy, but you've got this addiction thing going. And addiction is a life of itself that really needs to be addressed as a separate, unique entity. And just trying harder doesn't fix addiction. I want to read something to you from a listener. It says, I want to let you know how much your programs helped our family. I was separated from my husband for 3 years. We were living a dysfunctional, abusive relationship, and I had enough. After leaving, I sought counseling, came to the decision to divorce, and the Lord began speaking to me about my decision, and your program gave that last message that turned my decision around. I was arguing with God that I could not go back to someone who had been abusive toward me when I entered my truck just in time to hear one of you say, the fact that your spouse has been abusive in the past does not justify a decision to divorce, as God may be working on the spouse. Well, that was an answer I did not want to hear, as my heart was closed toward him. There was so much hostility, and I had not had anything to do with him for months due to a court order. Anyway, I had no choice but to listen to God, and I was now sure of what he wanted. That was 6 years ago. Tonight, we fly to attend my husband's graduation from the Nazarene Bible College with a degree in pastoral ministries. We are on our local church staff, and our son was baptized 2 months ago. Isn't God great? God placed it on my heart to send this tiny gift to your ministry and to encourage you in the great work that you've been doing. Continue to work for the Lord, because your labor is not in vain. All right, here it is. 3 years separated, ready to divorce. The Lord speaks to her, and he had turned around. That's the key. And now they're flying to graduation from the Nazarene Bible College. He's a pastor. I've got a story from 40 years ago of this exact same thing happening. The guy was a jerk, beer drunk in Texas, and he ended up becoming a pastor. God wants to transform your life, your marriage, your relationship with kids and at work, but you have to have something, and it's called willingness. And you take that willingness and you pick up a phone and you dial 1-800-NEW-LIFE, and we will help you find what you need to do to initiate the transformation that God wants you to have. Maybe it's time to stop waiting for God to do what God has been waiting for you to do. That man who's going to get that degree from the college, no better, no worse than you. That can be you. Maybe it's not a pastoral position, but it's a position of integrity. 1-800-NEW-LIFE. when you're ready to change.
Thanks for listening. We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800